Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, one-on-one.
So just before we moved to Miss Carrie, you were at that meeting. I was told by my mills in the meeting that you did this and didn't say a word. What's your take on that meeting?
I would say quite
because they say temperatures were raging.
I wouldn't go as far as saying it was
Angry.
raging. I've been in other meetings that have been far worse.
Okay.
And with less sensitive things than what we were discussing. So I completely understand emotion. I completely understand, I think people had the opportunity to speak, which was good. Our role, or my role at that particular event, was not necessarily to speak. It was to sit there, gather information, understand. I heard comments from some of the people that were there that says, exactly what we just finished speaking about. Why isn't it here? Why can't you set it up in St. David's?
Right.
That was actually a comment.
You're the landlord. What you say?
I didn't. I mean, it was a general
what's
comment.
What's your take on,
well,
hindsight?
They already have one in St. David's. It's run through BHC, where we end up having the emergency shelter, right? They're everywhere. That is the point. But I'm saying there were situations that people had to get out what they have inside. There were other people that said, definitely, I just don't want it. There were other people that came forward and said that this is not all bad, that it's a good thing, and can we improve on it, and how can I feel comfortable going forward now that we know that this is here? Because some people said that they weren't even aware that it was here for whatever reason. And so it was an opportunity for me to attend on behalf of Ep2 to gather information, understand what's there, so that I then can obviously report back to the board, and all of that information, inclusive of the proposal that will be sent, can be taken into consideration.
So at this stage, having heard what you heard, what are you inclined to do?
That decision is not Andrew Dias's. That decision will be made by the board.
What's Andrew Dias, the bleeding heart, who understands NIMBY, saying?
I'm not necessarily actually made a decision, if you will, to say what side is it. I am supportive of and empathetic to the situation of certain individuals that are within the community that have challenges. Likewise, I know that this is a real problem for Bermuda. This is a live problem that is not just in Dockyard. It is not just in Somerset. It is not in Southampton or Warwick or Paget. It's throughout this entire island.
But when it comes to Dockyard, people say Andrew Diaz is the guy who knocked down low-cost housing to put up fabulous condos for people who wanted to see the America's Cup.
Well, I'm not sure what condos you're referring to.
Alfred Terrace, Princess Louise, all those places were knocked down.
No, actually, they weren't knocked down. What was knocked down was Albert Row.
Right.
And in its place, if you remember, it was supposed to be the 100 homes development. And then
it turned into
28, and that was a decision by the government at that time to stop it from being 100 homes to 28. That was not Andrew Dias's decision.
People blame you for that.
Well, there's a lot of things when you sit in a position that you get
can have
blamed
your
for,
job, okay?
but that's okay.
Miss Carrie,
Hello, Ceola.
thank you for coming on board.
Thank you.
Your opening remarks. It's been a lot of noise about
There
this.
has been, and
My question would be, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
yes,
Public consultation didn't happen. Why not?
there was public consultation. There was definitely room for more consultation. We had spent a considerable amount of time working with our government, working with community stakeholders, service providers, reaching out to churches and the police and a number of other organizations for support and ideas as to where we could potentially house this vulnerable population. So in that regard, we are definitely open and excited about increased collaboration within individual neighborhoods and parishes throughout the island.
Who exactly are you housing at this shelter?
We are housing individuals who have been homeless. Some of them came right in off of the street, which we refer to as rough sleepers. Others have been transitioned there due to becoming homeless over the couple of months. The reason why our work is so critical at this point in time in Bermuda is that we've been able to identify 13 subsections of homelessness. They are the obvious, which are the individuals who we tend to see on Front Street. We see them through the railway trails. They are living on the beaches. In addition to that, there's a population of individuals who are living in emergency housing. Then there's another subsection of individuals who have gone into temporary housing, which is turned into permanent long-term housing, such as in St. David's. But people do not necessarily consider the fact that there are young people aging out of systems who are housing insecure. We have victims of crime who may at 3 o'clock in the morning need to find secure housing. We have individuals who are coming out of institutions, and we automatically associate that with corrections. But we have individuals who are coming out of Maui. We have individuals who are coming out of the Bermuda, out of the hospital, who they have no confirmed place to live. And that's just half of the population. We have individuals who are what we call house hopping, couch surfing, right? We all know somebody who's living on somebody's couch, somebody who's sleeping on somebody's floor, and they're going from home to home. Those people too are homeless. They're housing insecure. We have individuals in Bermuda who are living in derelict buildings, no electricity, no running water. We have people who are living in overcrowding. We also have individuals which we take for granted who are living in Bermuda, who are non-Bermudian, who are getting up in age, and they have nowhere to live, and they do not qualify for support because they are not Bermudian. So there are quite a number of individuals who can be categorized as homeless. And around December, home, after conducting a considerable amount of data, there were approximately 600 individuals who fell within those subcategories. Now, within that, we have the rough sleepers, the persons who are living outside. Through our data, we had identified 38 individuals. 2 of those were over 79, 17 of those were over 60. 2 were terminal, about 5 of them had had strokes within 2021, and they were living outside. So that turned up the urgency or the priority of finding housing for persons who were living outside. And we're not talking about people who are outside for a year or for a season. There are individuals who have been outside for up to 35 years. That is why Home was founded.
So when you say more public consultation could have happened, what happened?
Yes, we missed an opportunity for more consultation from the community, but we welcome the opportunity as we look towards future work with this population and other parishes to create opportunities for feedback, for collaboration for our community, as well as the clients that we're servicing, to give feedback and offer suggestions as to how we can effectively house Bermuda's homeless.
Okay, so I reached out to a number of area residents, spoke to quite a few. One gentleman who's the father of a young daughter sent me a bullet list. His list includes people can sense when something is not right with another individual, whether it be mental issues, being drunk or on drugs. You can tell when people have issues. And they bring all of this to my neighborhood. Basically, he's a father who doesn't feel safe letting his 5 or 6 or 7-year-old daughter play right outside next to the people in this facility. The other allegation is that it's supervised from 8 in the morning until 8 at night, and then they're left to their own devices. Is that true?
That is not correct.
Did it start that way?
We started initially with a small group of people. Once we reached capacity, we made sure that we have 24-hour staff on board. So we have shifts, morning, evening, and overnight shifts. But in addition to the staff that work in the house, we also have 5 case managers that are assigned to each one of the clients that we support. So it's not, I've heard the word floating around that we're operating a shelter. We absolutely are not. It is a transitional, independent group living. We are working with all of these individuals to reconnect with next of kin, identify what their medical needs are, and making sure that they're being referred and that we are actually taking them to these appointments. We are working with them to access public transportation. We are working with them to go shopping in the West End community and utilize the laundromat.
But who's watching them when they're left to their own devices? They're in the middle of a neighborhood with young children. Some guy tried to grab a little 5-year-old boy the other day over his fishing lines.
The individuals that are at Messina, it is independent living. We have staff that are there to supervise 24 hours a day. We are working with the individuals to support them in their transition and their rehousing. These individuals have not been identified as high risk. That is why they are appropriate or were deemed appropriate to be rehoused in this environment.
This gentleman wants to know, would the Board of Whom have set up this in their own neighborhoods? Would they have consulted with their neighbors first? Is this something that they would even consider, especially when this man of affluence says, well, not in my pool house?
We want to remind the community that the homeless population can be found island-wide. This one property is one solution or one support for all of the 13 subsections of individuals who need housing support. It is our intention, as our mission is to end homelessness in Bermuda, is to work collaboratively with the entire island to identify other opportunities to house. Home is everywhere. We not only provide case management for the individuals that are in the West End, but we continue to provide case management support for other individuals throughout the island. We are everywhere.
He admits that doing work to help the homeless is a good thing, does not make you immune from being questioned about how they operate the shelter. Yes. One allegation has been that you guys took a carbon copy of some program in England that doesn't even run a 24-hour shelter.
That's correct. We didn't take the carbon copy of that to turn that into a program. The document that you're referring to is called Crisis, and it is entitled Everybody In, and it provides a format of how a jurisdiction can work together and work with collecting data from the primary stakeholders, collecting data from the secondary stakeholders, and working with community partners to develop a national plan to address homelessness.
And so is that what you're working on?
Yes, that is
because
what we're
the
working on.
allegation is, and they've sent me the board members, you've got some high-powered, very well-paid individuals on your board who are coming off like all of this is beneath them.
I have a very compassionate and dedicated and hardworking board. We have been working tirelessly since August to work on strategies to address homelessness. We have been working in partnership and collaboration with our government, with the stakeholders. We hosted a virtual summit with all of these individuals.
But the biggest stakeholders are the people you dumped this program in the backyard. You didn't talk to them. What's going to be different moving forward?
Moving forward, we definitely will be including greater collaboration with our community. We are looking for persons to work with us to identify solutions for us to work together. Yeah. For the safety of not only the communities that we are in, but also for our clients. Collaboration is going to be the key. This is a huge undertaking, but we are at a critical level of individuals who are homeless or on the pathway to homelessness. And the only way forward is not for whom to be working independently. The only way for us as a community to be successful is if we are all committed to working together. The problem is too big. So if everyone commits to doing a little bit, we will get a lot further. And therein lies the community safety.
Well, the allegation, and no disrespect to PLP MP Tanae Furbit, who apparently is in on this thing, the allegation is she's in cahoots with you guys. And she knows that Bermuda has no vulnerable persons outside of how it relates to seniors, and she's advising you guys on how to get over the loopholes. And I'm hearing that same allegation about the area MP. Kathy Leon Simmons. So, with these two in charge, based on how it's going so far, what can the residents expect different from you?
We are very familiar with the standards required for operating a residential. And yes, you are absolutely right. There are no regulations that provide oversight for this particular population. However, we do know what those are from overseas. So we have put in place policies and procedures that will ensure that we are maintaining best standard practices.
See, a lot of people do. Like, I've been around and I'm getting old. But I remember Connie Furtado.
Yes.
And you got guys in that category right in this neighborhood now. Are you aware, while all this was going on, a convicted pedophile who just over a year being released from prison is back in custody for interfering with another child right next door to you? And the word is, the mob is glad police got him, because people were looking to kill him. And you got these same kind of incidents happening around your program right now.
So
you say what?
That scenario is not associated with our program or our organization. So
but
let me
it's
just
part
say
of
that
what you're dealing with.
it's not part of what I'm dealing with. The individuals that we are working with have been deemed lower risk, and they are not sex offenders. This group of guys, part of it is the community, we want for them to get to know them so that we're not reading a piece of paper that says this is who they are, or I remember them from 20 years ago. When we received the key to Messina House, I remember specifically saying, I do not want a building that's moving and ready. These guys have come up there, and my misconception of what that was going to look like. Day 2, Carrie, I need you to go get a scraper. Carrie, can you go buy me some buckets and get some Clorox in? Carrie, every morning it's Carrie, can you do this? Can you do that? These individuals have come in and are so overwhelmed at the opportunity to be a part of something, to belong to something. I have not once had to ask those guys to do anything, the guys or the ladies. Everybody that has come there has looked around and said, hey, you know what? I need drywall up there. Carrie, can you get me this blade?
Have you asked them not to interfere with people's children?
The gentlemen do not interfere with children. The scenario that you shared with us before we started, we have a resident who loves to fish. And he loves to share his fishing skills with everybody. So there was a situation where a child was lifting up his line. No fisherman likes that. Okay. And so, yeah, he was rough on the language, but he did not touch him.
So what about the lead source whose son was asked, do you like little boys or little girls? Took his drone and destroyed it. You paid that woman back for his drone?
I am aware that
you need to pay her back for that drone.
This is the first time that I've heard that there was any damage.
She said she didn't ask you, but I'm asking you.
I did not know.
We'll be right back right after this.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.